Racing, awesome cars, heart-pounding action, and motorsport. There's not much of this in movies. Good films about racing and racers aren't all that common, but I've put together a short list. This video is all about the best racing movies.
Get away from me.
Come on, you want to go through me? Come on, go through me.
I don't want to fight you, I want to fight him!
Driven. A spectacular box office and creative flop for Sylvester Stallone. Sly wrote the screenplay, produced the film, and starred in it. Well, in a supporting role. Driven is one of those cases where it's so bad, it's almost good. The plot is decent, and the idea is interesting. What's the movie about? It's about the rivalry between a young, talented racer and an older, Season 1. Both characters are connected to Stallone's character, a veteran racer himself. Technically, the film is brilliantly made. A $94 million budget in 2001 was a huge amount, and the money was spent where it mattered. The problem lies in the script and the acting. The movie earned 7 well-deserved Golden Raspberry nominations and even won one. Realism? Not even close. Some parts are overly sappy and melodramatic. But it's undeniably well shot, with the cinematographer doing everything possible to carry the film. And that does save it a bit. By the way, for those interested, the movie is about Champ Car, a racing series that was once popular in the US. And the thrilling chase scene with open-wheel race cars speeding through city streets is genuinely impressive.
But you can't win an Indy without a great car. My name's not Andretti or Unser. On the other hand, stock cars are stock cars, pretty much the same.
Hey, there's nothing stock about a stock car.
Look, I'm not trying to insult you. All I'm saying is stock cars are built to run equal, isn't that right?
Days of Thunder. From Champ Car, we move to NASCAR. NASCAR is probably the most popular racing series in the US. And if any of my longtime subscribers are still here, they might remember that Tom Cruise is my favorite actor, so I couldn't leave out a movie with him in it. Days of Thunder is one of the weaker films in his career, but it's not a bad movie. Like Stallone with Driven, Cruise came up with the story idea and co-wrote the screenplay for Days of Thunder. The script was a big problem because it was written on the fly, right during filming. On top of that, the producers and director Tony Scott often clashed over how to shoot certain scenes. The crew sometimes sat idle for hours, waiting for creative disputes to be resolved. In short, the production was a mess. There's even a rumor that one of the final scenes was simply forgotten to be shot. The story centers on a young, unknown, but talented racer played by Tom Cruise, who bursts into the world of big-time racing only for a serious crash to drastically change his life. The movie turned out the way it did, and there's nothing to be done about it. The uplifting story feels a bit uneven, but still works. And the racing scenes are shown impressively. What more do we need?
If you stay, I'm gonna push you harder than you have ever been pushed, and I'm gonna prove that you don't have what it takes. Because to take one look at any of you, I can already tell that you don't.
Gran Turismo. An adaptation of the incredible story of British gamer Jan Mardenborough, who broke into the world of professional motorsport through an esports tournament for the Gran Turismo racing simulator. The film faithfully tells the story and, of course, showcases plenty of racing action. And not just races, but also the preparation for them. For once, a movie shows that racers need to train their bodies, not just rely on quick reflexes in corners. Notably, Jan Mardenborough himself served as a consultant and stunt driver for the film, which is based on his life. The movie isn't bad, the motorsport is depicted at a top-notch level, and the sense of speed is there, but it's got plenty of purely artistic flaws. I'm sitting here thinking about how contradictory this film is. Part of it is that I was really looking forward to this movie, and my expectations were high. Unfortunately, they weren't quite met.
C'est Michel, tu reçois?
Oui, très bien.
Comme tu connais pas le circuit, est-ce que tu veux que je te donne 2-3 indications sur la piste?
Avec plaisir.
Alors suis-moi. Énergie en sortie. Voilà, bon terrain fort.
Michel Vaillant Need for Speed. This is a charming French film, adapted from French comics in 2003. The plot revolves around a fierce rivalry between two racing teams, with the outcome hinging on the final race of the season, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The movie has it all: friendship, love, nobility, and, of course, well-staged and beautifully shot racing scenes. It's a gorgeously shot and memorable film with an ideal protagonist. Michel Vaillant is practically a role model, calm, rational, a true professional, an honest man, and not without flaws that make him a relatable, living character. The races here are varied, from circuit to rally, all shown in their full glory, perfectly capturing the racing atmosphere. The film isn't without its flaws, of course. For example, the villains are somewhat cartoonish. But somehow, this only adds to the film's charm. It's like a fairy tale, but a good one, and the races turned out excellent. A movie about racing is almost always, first and foremost, an action film. And you can have a list of top racing movies without the king of action films, Jason Statham. No, we're not talking about the Transporter franchise. In the Brit's career, there's a film about a race. A deadly race.
Anyone can wear the mask, but not just anyone can drive the car. You have the skills I require to keep the legend alive.
Death Race depicts a dystopian world filled with crisis, rampant crime, overcrowded prisons, and all the other delights of a dystopia. The main character, a former NASCAR driver, ends up in prison accused of murdering his wife. The management of this lovely establishment makes money by staging deadly races broadcast live. This is an R-rated film, so the creators could unleash a full display of violence right in the middle of races between custom, indestructible cars loaded with weapons. The races are thrilling, gripping, and perfectly convey the sense of speed and mortal danger. At the box office, the film flopped, earning just $75 million against a $45 million production budget.
Just hold me right there, and you take my hand. Oh, God! Sat on my nuts.
Ford v Ferrari, a biographical film about automotive designer Carroll Shelby and racer Ken Miles. And in the distant background, the rivalry between the Ford and Ferrari companies. Let me say right away, this movie is phenomenal. In purely artistic terms, it's a solid second place among all the films on this list. A brilliant story, outstanding performances by Christian Bale and Matt Damon in the lead roles, and technically superb, 2 Oscars for editing, a nomination for sound, and a nomination for Best Picture, all fully deserved. But there's not enough racing here. The races are present, and they're incredibly intense, gripping you to your seat with tension. But this film isn't really about racing. The focus is on the characters and their relationships. It wouldn't matter if the backdrop was racing, football, programming, or anything else. Swap it out and nothing would change. It's an awesome movie, but it's about people, not races.
2G by 8. Winner takes all. Hector, you're gonna hold the cash.
Why Hector?
Because it's too slow to make away with the money, man. Okay, good luck, guys.
Hey, wait, hold up. I don't have any cash, but I do have the pink slip to my car.
The Fast and the Furious, and Too Fast, Too Furious. The Fast and the Furious is a cult remake of Point Break that spawned a massive, multi-billion-dollar franchise, now spanning 11 films. Nowadays, it's a series of wild action movies with no regard for physics or common sense, but back then, they were down-to-earth films about ordinary street racers. And the first 2 movies are genuinely good. They came out right at the peak of the need for speed video game series popularity and perfectly captured the vibe and atmosphere of street life on the edge of the law. It's that sense of adventure that pulls the viewer in alongside the characters. And, of course, there's awesome music, beautiful women, and cool cars. Plus, thrilling races and chases with those cool cars. Incredibly dynamic and visually spectacular films with stunning visuals. The franchise's cool factor was boosted by the charismatic Vin Diesel, who became the heart of the series for years to come.
What the?
Police cars are only factory tuned. You can do better than 180K, they can't catch you. So they don't even try.
You know what? I'm
I'm beginning to like this country already.
The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, the best of the Fast films. Tokyo Drift is arguably the most racing-focused movie in the franchise, specifically centered on Japanese drift culture. Drifting as a sport truly originated in Japan and has the largest following of fans and participants there. And Tokyo Drift manages to showcase this culture in all its glory. The filmmakers did an excellent job of depicting both the races themselves and the awesome cars the characters drive. They perfectly captured the atmosphere of drift competitions, where turns are taken mere centimeters from walls and barriers. Much of this was achieved because the races were filmed live, over 100 cars were wrecked, and 500 sets of tires were burned during production. Audiences received the film rather cruelly. With a budget of $85 million, it grossed just $160 million, and its reviews were underwhelming. This is likely why the franchise's creators didn't experiment with this format again.
Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston, now McLaren, all have a speed on the straights. Our shot is battling in the turns. We need to build our car for combat.
How am I supposed to make that safe?
Who said anything about safe?
F1 the Movie, a brand new 2025 sports film made with direct input from Formula One leadership and 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. The filmmakers went all out to make it as realistic as possible, and they mostly nailed it. The movie was shot during actual Grand Prix races, and the hero's car is a modified Formula 2 car. Brad Pitt stars as an aging racer making a comeback to the pinnacle of motorsport 30 years after a horrific crash. The story follows a fairly predictable arc about a young hotshot and a grizzled veteran. For die-hard F1 fans, there are enough inaccuracies and simplifications to break the immersion. But for newcomers to the sport, this is an absolute gem of a film. The racing scenes and visuals are stunning. The plot and characters, though, are pretty straightforward. One downside is that real F1 broadcasts already have cutting-edge tech, top-notch cinematography, and directing, so the movie doesn't add much in that department. Wow. Need for Speed. The adaptation of the famous racing video game series, Need for Speed, hit the big screens in 2014. The lead role was played by Breaking Bad star Aaron Paul. The film tells the story of auto mechanic and street racer Toby Marshall, who finds himself in financial trouble and is unjustly sent to prison. After his release, Toby competes in the De Leon race to take down his adversary. The catch is that he has to race across the country to reach the main event, with very little time to spare. The races in the film were shot live, using real high-end hypercars or their replicas, which weren't spared from genuine crashes. Professional racers were behind the wheel during the race scenes, and the main actors underwent training in high-speed and extreme driving before filming. All this resulted in a high level of realism, brilliantly capturing the sense of speed and tension. The film cost its creators $66 million and brought in over $200 million at the box office.
Well, of course. But you're missing a very important point. I think if any of us really imagined, what it would be like to go into a tree at 150 miles an hour, we would probably never get into the cars at all. None of us.
Grand Prix, a 1966 film about the battle for the Formula One World Championship among several drivers. It has that slow, deliberate pace typical of older movies. But the racing scenes? They're flat out awesome, even by today's standards. The filmmakers used real Grand Prix footage, including shots from a camera car tailing the drivers in an actual race. The only downside is that, given the film's massive runtime, there aren't as many racing scenes as you'd hope. Instead, there's plenty of focus on the drivers' relationships with each other and those around them. Unlike the newer F1 the Movie with Pitt, you actually care about the characters here. Director John Frankenheimer nailed it, both artistically and technically. This is a phenomenal racing movie. Don't let its nearly 60-year age scare you off. I highly recommend giving it a watch.
He's a Niki Lauda, Formula One driver, and he just signing with a Ferrari.
Him? That's impossible.
Why?
Well, you know, Formula One drivers. They have long hair, are sexy. Their shirts are open to here.
Thank you.
Yes? Anyway, look at the way he's driving like an old man.
Rush, a 2013 sports drama directed by Ron Howard. The plot is based on the real-life rivalry between two Formula One drivers, Niki Lauda and James Hunt, played by Daniel Bruhl and Chris Hemsworth. The film is set in the mid-1970s, the golden era of Formula One. It was during this time that the famous rivalry between these two renowned athletes unfolded. The focus is on the 1976 season, when Lauda was involved in a horrific accident and miraculously survived, returning to the track just 6 weeks later. He missed only 2 Grand Prix races. The film stands out for its historical accuracy, though not in every detail. It was shot on real racetracks from that era or their replicas when the originals no longer exist, and actual 1976 race cars were used. The filmmakers consulted with current and former drivers and team bosses. But the film's greatest strength is how realistically and authentically the races are portrayed, the incredible atmosphere, and the palpable sense of speed. Outstanding cinematography and direction elevate it further. Another bonus is the phenomenal soundtrack by Hans Zimmer, a true masterpiece of cinema. I rewatch this film often, and each time it feels even better. The real Niki Lauda also spoke very highly of it, noting that the events were depicted with great accuracy and that there was very little Hollywood in the picture. Made for $38 million, the film grossed just over $90 million worldwide.